Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ohio Technical Centers podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Mann. And in the first episode, Bill Bussey and I had a conversation laying the foundation for this series with the history of OTCs, where they are today, why they matter, and a vision for the future of OTCs. And today, we're continuing our journey of exploring the offerings through Ohio Technical Centers by diving into the partnership with the Ohio Central School System. And I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Jennifer Sanders, who is the superintendent of the Ohio Central School System's Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. Jennifer has such a unique perspective on education. I'm excited for this conversation, and I'm sure for our folks that are tuning in that these insights are going to inspire you. So thank you for joining us today, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, to start off, can you share a bit about your background and your role as superintendent of the Ohio Central School System and just what brought you here on this journey?
I have had the pleasure to serve as school superintendent of the Ohio Central School System, which is the school district that serves the population within our adult prison system, the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. I have been in this space of education and corrections for almost 31 years. And I have to say that it is a great pleasure to be able to do what I do. Our school system is the one that we provide educational services from remediation services in reading and math all the way through to the 3 graduation pathways that are available to students in the state of Ohio, as well as providing career technical trades. We provide apprenticeship opportunities, and we do partner with colleges to bring college opportunities at all of our 28 schools in the 28 facilities in our state of Ohio. I have been in this space, like I said, for 31 years. Part of my experience, the majority of my experience, has been in the adult sector, but I also have served as a deputy warden for 4 years at 2 of our institutions, and I served as the school superintendent for the Department of Youth Services School District, Buckeye United School District, for just about 6 years as well.
Well, thank you for that. And can you also give us an overview of the population that you serve and the unique opportunities that you offer?
So, the people that are in the care of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections are those who are felony convicted and sent to the adult prison system as a part of their sentencing through the courts. We have people we have a small population of people under the age of 18. The vast majority of the people in our system are above 18. There are males and females, and like I said, we have them in 28 facilities. The education services that we provide them, we do work with people wherever they come to us from when it comes to an education. We have a significant footprint for academics, which we do literacy, numeracy remediation, all the way to high school equivalency. We actually provide high school diplomas. I am a licensed school superintendent, so we do full diplomas. We do adult diplomas. We also do adult high school options. In addition, we have over 26 career tech trade fields that we provide in the Ohio Central School System to the people in our system. We are working with some OTCs to expand those opportunities. And the reason why this is important to Ohio is the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction sends home to Ohio just around 18,000 people a year. And we want to make sure that we send back to Ohio people who are prepared to enter the workspace and to be productive citizens.
That's so important. I remember having a conversation with someone who had been in the system, and upon his release, It was really difficult because, for one, the world had changed so much in the 10 years since he had been there. He talked about how so many people end up going back because they don't know how to cope. And I know that the partnerships that you have with the different centers within Ohio really contribute to ensuring that these people are ready to be productive citizens and to continue their life. So can you talk about the key partnerships between the Ohio Central School System and Ohio Technical Centers, how the partnerships developed, what motivated them, and touching on our conversation before we started recording, just the importance of building capacity?
Yes, I'm happy to do so. So, we believe that it is incumbent upon us to provide not just a quality education, but a quality 21st century education for the people that are in our school district and in our department. With that in mind, we have made a concerted effort to really bring in the tools needed for 21st century. So we've done a lot of movement in our academic space to having digital tools available because we understand we live in a digital society. In career tech, what that has done is it has shifted us to not just offering the trades we've always offered, we continue to do those, but we want to make sure that we're offering 21st century career trade skills in addition to those that we've traditionally offered so that we can send to Ohio people that are ready to fill the 21st century jobs that are available. There are two that are running right now. One is at our Warren Correctional Institution. That is a partnership with the Warren Career Center. They are bringing in advanced manufacturing trade skills and certifications to that population. We have not offered advanced manufacturing in our system previously. So this is certainly an expansion that we believe will benefit Ohio and the people that are in our classes so that when they leave they're able to fill jobs that we need in Ohio. In addition, we have a wonderful relationship with Pioneer. They provide an additional welding program at our Grafton Correctional Institution. So we have welding. We have a couple of those trades. But again, we have a population of 45,000 people. And so this is what we would call an enhancement where we have additional programs that allow us to have even more people trained in and certified in welding. As you know, that welding is also a high demand field in Ohio. So, knowing that we wanted to really shift our focus to not just in demand jobs, but truly starting to fulfill what the future needs of Ohio has for workforce, we knew we needed to build partnerships like this. We are in the process now of hopefully getting more of our OTC friends to come into our system and help us train the workforce that Ohio needs, that we believe we can provide for Ohio by making sure that they have those skill sets while they're in our care they can use when they return to their communities, to their families, and become productive citizens. And that's truly what this is about.
And that's amazing. It's life-changing for the folks who are there and who now have another opportunity, another chance, but it's also so beneficial to the communities and, like you mentioned, to the families as well. And what types of activities or programs result from these partnerships, and can you share examples of successful collaborations?
So right now we do have two very successful collaborations going on. We have had some conversations to have some additional ones, but we have We have a history actually in our department of having partnerships that work, and that is with our community college and college systems. We have a we have 7 colleges that are partners, and we have had long-standing relationships with them. They also provide training in demand fields. Using that knowledge that we had previously, that we have established over the years, allowed us to be very comfortable to move into contracting with OTCs in our state. Again, it is not a reflection that we don't believe in our career tech training. We absolutely believe in that. We just know that the demand is so high in our system and in our state that to really fulfill the needs of the state, we believe that the 18,000 people we return to Ohio a year is the workforce that Ohio needs. We also go about this from the idea that our director says this, believes this, and is very vocal about the fact that education is a rehabilitative necessity. And we are the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. So, the establishment of our 2 existing partnerships with Warren Career Center and Pioneer really bloomed from all of that thought and belief. So, what we have found is these students really enjoy the programs that have been offered, the advanced manufacturing at Warren Correctional, and the welding at Pioneer, through Pioneer at Grafton Correctional. And the center so far seem to be very favorable in how this has manifested. We are in the process now of looking to increase the number of partners we have so that we can provide additional skilled trade fields that are needed in Ohio.
And you've touched some on this already, but I wanted to see if you have anything that you would like to add it to the partnerships, how these partnerships really benefit the students. You talked about the skills that they're gaining. Are there any success stories on specific students that you would like to share?
We have had people get their AWS certification through the Pioneer program, and they have been very successful in the testing. We have not yet had people complete the advanced manufacturing because it's a much longer program. What I will say is the students have spoken very favorably about their experience, but just as important, the centers that are partnering with us have spoken very favorably of the centers. That is important to us to make sure that our partners are also very comfortable being in our system because we understand that not everybody sees this as the best place to work. Although generally when they come and work with us, they find that it is a great environment to work in education. So much so that the Pioneer program with their AWS certification, we had 11 out of 11 pass their AWS certification. We're thrilled by that result, and certainly the students are thrilled with that result.
And Jennifer, you mentioned a few minutes ago that every year 18,000 individuals are released and they are the workforce that Ohio needs. That's powerful. I mean that's just huge that they are going back in and making a difference. Do you What impact do these partnerships have on the local community and businesses, and what stands out about the success of this partnership?
People are returning to communities every day from our system. They are neighbors, they are colleagues, and they are coworkers. And so it is important for Ohioans to recognize that with the training that we can provide, the programming that we can provide that helps an individual make different decisions, have better opportunities, and be productive citizens, impacts the entire. I equate this to skipping rocks in a pond, right? When a person is advancing through programming and education in our system, it's like the rock skipping, right? We always try and get as many skips as possible, right? But each time that the rock touches the water, it creates a ripple. And so I look at, as we provide programming and education to the people in our care, every time they have a success, there is a ripple impact. It's a ripple to them personally, to their family, to the community, and to this great state. Every time we can provide that touch point, we really want to work with our OTCs to make sure that every time their programming impacts a person, it it impacts the same way. And so they also, our OTC partners, are part of that ripple impact that we have with the people who are our students.
Well, Jennifer, every partnership has its challenges, and I'm sure there's some hurdles that you've encountered in developing the partnership with OTCs or just in general. And how did you overcome those?
I think some of the barriers and challenges that exist are not many people know that education happens in prison. Like, they may know, but they don't understand the full scope and breadth of what we do. So I think there's that we have to overcome, and we do. I think there is a lot of perceptions about what corrections is, and I think that some of those can lead to barriers for people partnering with us. It's not always easy working through the process of building partnerships. Like, that just takes time, energy, persistence, and patience, right? So what we found is that when you sit down and have clear communication, we bring people in to see what we do. We have people working with our local institutions, staff, and communication makes a huge difference in how we build these types of partnerships. It is always interesting to me when I bring somebody into an institution and they look around wide-eyed because it is not what they anticipated. Because, we do have a different vision based upon a variety of inputs about what corrections is. And so that's one thing. Being very open and honest with each other has been one of the great strategies to manage, some of the challenges that come about, because there are challenges to any type of partnership of this nature.
Well, and we also have the stigma from Hollywood and just the dramatization of what prisons look like, that everyone is just hard criminals. And that's just not the case. There are some really good people who they messed up. And we want them to be the best version of themselves and to come out a better person through programs like this that truly are rehabilitating them.
Absolutely. I was speaking on a different topic at a webinar recently, and on the webinar was a person who had experience being incarcerated, and the question came about language, and I you I use words like people in our care because they are right, and they were questioning the use of the language. The person on this webinar said, who had experience in the systems, said that just because somebody did something does not define them. And that's really, I think, one of the greatest barriers is people understanding that just because you've committed a crime. I'm not being dismissive of some of the crimes, though. Let's be clear. There are crimes that people commit, but that does not define who they are, nor should it label who they are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And when it comes down to it, most of us know someone, and you may not even know that they've been incarcerated. But when you think about just within your systems, I believe you said 45,000 incarcerated individuals.
Yes.
So most people know someone who has or may even in the future will be incarcerated. I think there's just that stigma that people have to get past. I know that with working within CTE and other areas where there's been that stigma of, oh, you're going to allow people who are incarcerated to use dangerous tools such as the welding programs that you talked about, but understanding too that it's a process. It's not You're not allowing someone who is a hard criminal that has a violent history to to use this equipment. These are people that have proven themselves.
Well, I would also say that even those who came in for violent offenses will go home. So we
Mhm.
do want to train them, but we do so in a way that is safe and secure. And we know how to do that. And really it's important for people to understand that the vast majority of people in prison today will go home. And so making sure that we prepare them to do that is extremely important. And we need partners that can help us do that.
Well, and that brings us to our next question. Looking ahead, what future opportunities do you see for expanding or deepening the partnerships with OTCs?
I am looking forward to having conversations with some of our OTC friends about how we can expand into some of our institutions that have less opportunities. I'm really excited about some of our work with 5G broadband that we've had in place. We have a partnership with North Central State Community College, Ashland, to do some of that area. I'm always looking forward to being able to help the state of Ohio be a solution to the problems that we see and potential future problems that we see in our workforce needs. So areas like the broadband, areas like the advanced manufacturing and mobility, those types of areas are extremely interesting to me. But just knowing that with the expansion of businesses and corporations coming into Ohio, construction, making sure that we can again fill holes that Ohio projects we will have in the workforce. The reason why it is important for us to have relationships like this, we do not always have the staff that can provide these trainings, the ability to be flexible enough to bring in some of the skilled trades that are needed in the future. So, having partners that can stand with us to provide those training opportunities is vital, not just to DRC, not just to OCSS, but to our students, their families, the community, and helping us fill the future workforce needs of Ohio.
It's such important work that you're doing, especially at a time when I was listening to a webinar recently, and they were talking about that it's really an underemployment problem when you see so many industries that are hurting because they do not have skilled laborers. And as we think about the concerns about jobs being replaced by technology, this is an area that we know that there's always going to be opportunities within the skilled trades and through partnerships between your organization and OTCs and other adult education programs. And is there anything else that you would like to share?
I just am really excited for the future of skilled trades. My father was a contractor, and I joke with my career tech teachers often that my father told me to go to college because I should not be in construction. So I admire skilled trade fields. I'm very excited for the opportunity to be able to provide partnerships or to provide training through partnerships for the clients that we serve. The impact of that is such a profound joy that I just think that our partners in the future will hopefully get the same type of fulfillment that I experience, as well as our current partners have expressed they have with that. And I just want to give a shout out to Warren Career Center and Pioneer Career Center for taking this first step with me and really building a foundation that we can use to scaffold additional opportunities.
Well, and there are 49 OTCs, so there are plenty more partnerships to be had. This is such an important episode, and I'm glad that Bill decided that this should be our second one because that hopefully it'll lead to more partnerships as
Oh, I
the
hope so.
you know,
Because
it's
again, I don't know how to say this nicely, but I appreciate you talking about Hollywood. The fact of the matter is, media makes it sound like A, prisons are like Shawshank Redemption,
exactly.
and and that and I'm not saying we don't have people that every staff member in DRC has the same philosophy that I do, but a lot of them do. And this whole, beat them down,
Mm-mm.
that's not what happens.
This is why people end up back in the system is because people make it so hard for them to ever
Because
overcome that stigma. They never get to erase their mistakes.
society continues to perpetually punish, even though the court sanctioned punishment has been served.
Mhm. Yep.
I actually have two family members who were formerly incarcerated. And so, yes, it's personal to me.
Mhm.
I believe I am a civil servant, and my job is to serve the population in our system through providing quality educational opportunities because it makes a difference.
Mhm.
I, you know, there's a four core values that our director has. And of those, I believe that the work that I directly do impacts each and every one of those core values. It's taking care of your staff because they will transform the lives of the people we serve.
Mhm.
And, one team, one purpose. And this is why I think the partnerships matter. The OTC partners matter because it is one team and one purpose. We, as OTC and career tech providers, are trying to build the workforce for Ohio. It is a collective effort instead of a singular effort. Being civil towards all that should I don't think I need to explain more about that core value. And the
Mhm.
one that really resonates the most with me as an educator is hope is job one. If you don't have hope, you are not really going to see true success. And so those core values drive everything that I do. It certainly is, I think, resonates very clearly with the services of education.
When it becomes personal because you know that individual that's there, you realize that there's a lot of other people that need that hope, like you mentioned, and those opportunities. And these partnerships are where that hope comes from.
To me, the one team, one purpose, while I believe the core value really was referencing our department, I see it much more broadly in that, the OTCs are tasked with providing workforce training and building the workforce of the future, correct?
Yes.
So to me, I'm part of that team. And we build the workforce that Ohio needs in the future. So why don't we do it collectively? That's really how I got to where I'm at with this. And we have a lot of people that really need to either be tooled or retooled to be productive workers and to be productive in the workforce of Ohio. We do have a lot of people who come into our system who are previously well educated and trained, but maybe they can't return to that field when they go home
Mm.
for a variety of reasons. So, hope is job one, civility, and the director has pushed, and I have been tasked with really building this 21st century education. I respect that education can happen regardless of the tool that you use. But if we expect to truly be reentry minded, then we need to provide digital tools. We need to provide secured access to the internet. If we don't do that, we're not preparing people to return home. We're not preparing people to be in the workforce. So we have, in the last 5 years, built a wireless network that is secure, where incarcerated people can access programming and education applications that are internet based. The wireless network is not just in the schools, but it's in program areas, it's in their dorms, so that, that is one step we've taken to really make sure that the people who leave us, when they leave us, they're better prepared for what society brings. You were talking about your people who leave and they have to catch up for 10 years. Well, we want to catch them up before they leave.
And it's really an opportunity when you think about the amount of reskilling that will have to happen due to technology changes to meet those demands. There's a company that I follow on LinkedIn. I think it's called Axios, who they do police training, but they're also using VR to help rehabilitate folks who are in the system, especially before they leave. I'm sure you're more familiar with this than I am, but using virtual reality to
Yes.
create scenarios that folks have to be able to it simulates that real world
Mhm.
piece that you wouldn't be able to simulate otherwise, which goes along with the importance of having the best technology for folks within the system.
So we actually will be doing virtual reality career tech training at our highest security prisons this year
Wow.
with VR.
Wow.
Yep. Welding is actually one of those trades. We're getting our IT to finish up the process for onboarding it. But yeah, look, it I am not taking anything away from traditional book learning. What I will say is traditional book learning, which has value, is going to be very similar to what happened to a chalkboard, right? Chalkboards still exist, but you don't use them, right? You use smart boards, you use whiteboards. So really, and this has been a difficult piece inside of corrections, because I am so fortunate to have a leadership team that supports this vision, but not everybody believes in the investment in education as a rehabilitative necessity. And I just think that that is a shame. It's hard enough to return to a community after having been serving their time that that they're legally required to serve, but to do so and not know how do you how do you get a job anymore? You apply online. How do you bank? You do that online. How do you, and I'll just keep going, right?
So
So
true.
much of our world is digital, and if we don't prepare them, it's yeah. I won't use the words that are in my head. But I will say, like, so this is why Lorain County Community College, we're working with them now to bring in FANUC training at 2 of our facilities, and it's that type of 21st century opportunities I really want our students to experience and get trained and skilled up to do. That's what workforce is nowadays.
And what is FANUC?
That is an advanced manufacturing, it's the robotics.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Robotics, yes. In fact, we're putting a very large investment in our machining trades. We have a machining program in GCI. We're doing a large investment to update that lab right now to prepare people in the machining tool and die trade. It's not just the partnerships with the OTCs that have made this possible. It is the work with the Ohio Workforce Transformation Division. The Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation has been fantastic in helping to support the work that we do, understanding that this workforce is a large group of people that can fill needs in Ohio, along with our other partners with Ohio Jobs and Family Services and the Ohio Department of Higher Education. Honestly, I this is not a single effort. This is a collective that has made this all possible and believes in this work for the reason of filling Ohio's needs.
And I want to mention too that that this approach, and I'm sure that having partnerships that matter like that, that makes such a difference because you're treating people with respect and dignity. And that produces people who are going to be able to make a difference when they leave. And that impacts everyone. It really is, like you said, that ripple effect that goes into our communities, it goes into the workforce when they reenter society.
What I find interesting in hearing that is I have presented at national conferences, and others in my department have presented on this. There's actually data that supports that programming and people who are engaged in programming have less misconduct inside. So I find it interesting when people talk about how other states have maybe struggled with providing quality programming. In reality, from an internal management perspective, it makes a difference internally as well, that when we provide quality programming. The fact of the matter is, the gentlemen who are engaged in our advanced manufacturing program at Warren, statistically, I haven't looked at their exact data, but statistically are probably not misbehaving because they're engaged in productive programming. Well, yesterday at the webinar, I did say to the group, I was like, people look at corrections as fences and doors and locks. In reality, corrections is a very large people industry because it's about people.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Fences and doors don't fix people. People fix people. I should say people in programming fix people.
Well said. Well, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm sure our listeners have found this episode as engaging and informative as I have. And for the folks who are listening in, be sure to click on the show notes for links and resources. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you do not miss our next episode. And thanks for tuning in. And Jennifer, thanks again.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to talk about what we do here in the Ohio Central School System, Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction.